Hello. Artificial intelligence is the much misunderstood and often much maligned child prodigy of computing and automation. It's been described by science fiction writers and journalists as the potential destroyer of humanity. It's been described by governments as a complete waste of time and money, and it's been hyped and attacked in equal measure by vested interests. For all its life, it's had to struggle for understanding. It started to go wrong nearly 50 years ago, when pioneers like Donald Mickey from Edinburgh University, who'd worked with Alan Turing, the father of computing, had his UK government funding withdrawn after being undermined by others in the emerging automation sector. The same thing happened in the United States too. Even so, there were people, pioneers, who believed in the power of AI to create a better world. Among them was Akeel Attar, a former collaborator with Mickey, who believed AI-based systems could be used to solve business problems, particularly when it comes to capturing human expertise and experience. He and his growing team have gradually created a role for AI in 2021 that those naysayers said would never be possible. Akeel Attar, it's been quite a journey. What gave you the belief, all the way back then in the 70s and 80s, that AI could be a tool that could help drive business efficiency?
Well, I have always taken a different approach to AI. I was never fascinated by AI for the sake of algorithms or research. I genuinely believe that AI could solve complex problems. And that is what drove me to get into this area. And the two areas that I felt AI could actually deliver, one was cloning human expertise, because I do believe, unlike what the current hype is all about, which is machine learning and big data, I do believe one of the most important things to enable machines to do what experts can do in a narrow field. And that capture of expertise is an important element of AI. But the second aspect is this ability to learn from data, from historic data experiences. And we started with machine learning back in the early 80s, thinking that's the way ahead. And we are now proven right that machine learning from data and the cloning of expertise are the hallmarks of AI.
Now, we're here obviously to talk about AI and manufacturing. Mm-hmm. Why is AI so important to the future of manufacturing?
Well, I think manufacturing, like any other business, has challenges, and they thrive to improve efficiency. They try to reduce cost, improve productivity, optimize the resources. These are common challenges. The advantage of working in AI is I can see different sectors facing exactly the same challenges, even though they believe they're unique challenges. Now, AI is well placed to address these challenges in two ways. AI, if you like, is a good way to automate human problem solving and to improve on that human problem solving through learning and through optimization of resources. So that's why I feel AI can actually deliver so much for manufacturing in terms of improving efficiency, compliance, better utilization of resources. So all these areas, AI can play a big role.
Net zero and the approach, that's going to be vital too, yes?
Absolutely. The challenges facing manufacturing are twofold. One is, if you like, world events like COVID and Brexit, etc., where there are pressures on costs and reducing prices. But the other side of it is actually regulatory. Sustainability and net zero is going to be driving AI for manufacturing for the foreseeable future. And AI is the best way to make the best out of existing plants and to design better plants for the future that are designed with net zero and sustainability in mind.
Now, how do we make AI, intelligent manufacturing, a reality?
To me, observing the barriers to adoption, I would say number one is to understand what AI actually is. I think there's too much hype about trying to present AI as, thinking, where are the ethics in AI? Could AI take over the world? Actually, AI are a set of automation algorithms that allows us to do things better by automating them. So in the case of manufacturing, for example, What we want to do is we want to be able to monitor our processes to make sure they don't fall over, to predict when they're going to fail, to actually optimize their settings and operation, and to control them in a better way. All the time complying with regulations and keeping the human in the loop. Now these things AI can do very well.
XpertRule software has created XpertFactory. What makes this product unique?
I think what makes it unique is, first of all, we are not fascinated by AI, as I said, for the sake of AI. We are problem solvers, and we have solved problems in manufacturing using AI for the last 20 years. In XpertFactory, we incorporated the methodology we used into the software. But also what makes us unique is that AI is a spectrum from understanding by the machine learning to monitoring, to acting, to improve, to optimizing and control. Now, the thing about successful adoption of AI is to do it in stages, in a phased manner. And I believe we support the full life cycle to make it possible.
You've been working with manufacturers, as you say, for a couple of decades. Tell us some of the stories about what you've done.
Very varied, really, very varied. So we have done some really interesting work for a major brewery in the UK on their refrigeration. Industrial refrigeration in a brewery is one of the biggest costs in terms of electricity and power. So again, it's a good demonstration of the end-to-end applications in manufacturing. So we allow them to understand by machine learning from their refrigeration data, we allow them to understand what drives the coefficient of performance, as it's called. So they could optimize the setting of these compressors that do the chilling and also the configuration of them. That's one application. We then captured the best expertise to diagnose, troubleshoot these refrigeration plants. And finally, we did something which actually, considering it was 15 years ago, it was groundbreaking, which is to optimize the operation of the chillers so that they just come on where the electricity is cheap overnight without compromising the minimal temperature for the chiller, for the brine. So end-to-end in refrigeration, we did some work on oil drilling in the North Sea, whereby we actually analyzed the drilling data to try and predict when a drill bit might get stuck. Because if that was to happen, it's a major cost. Again, by not analyzing data, we discovered the patterns for this. We did work in powder processing, in cement, in mineral processing, and one of the other interesting areas is understanding the interaction between oil wells in an oil field. In an oil field, oil wells are connected underneath. So if you inject water in one, you can get production up in the next. So we actually used AI to predict the interaction. We patented that. And in fact, BP ended up buying the patents from us for that. So really, the problem solving is unlimited in manufacturing and process.
Now, obviously, we're talking not just about process industry, we're also talking about discrete manufacturing. There are plenty of vendors out there. Obviously, the fourth industrial revolution, people are selling digital manufacturing technologies to enable manufacturers to be more efficient and more productive. To what extent does XpertFactory replace those tools that they're selling? Or is it something that enhances them, that can live on top of them and make them more efficient?
I believe we're very complementary in that we actually add value, add features, and allow integration. So a lot of technologies, they do, say, monitoring, but quite rudimentary monitoring. We allow the best monitoring expertise from people and learning patterns from data to be deployed to do more intelligent monitoring. We also allow the capturing, as I said before. Very few of these systems allow you to capture the expertise of your best people. That expertise, by the way, that's valuable expertise. That's retiring. When people retire, we lose that expertise. So we actually capture that and allow that to be added to the monitoring system. So I would say we're very, very much complementary. A lot of these digitization systems that will bring the data to one place, monitor it, sense it, but we do the rest, which is monitor, act, optimize, improve.
I'm always struck by the way that manufacturers traditionally have operated within their own buildings in silos. You've got the production line, you've got the design office, you've got the back office, and so on. To what extent does AI assist in the process of breaking down those silos, if you like, creating one entity?
Very much a catalyst in that, actually. I mean, at the moment, the trend is to unify front, middle office, and back office, and there's a lot of work going on in that direction. I would say we can take that further using AI and decision automation by linking front, middle, and back office to the shop floor. And that's the ultimate integration, because then you can bring the supply chain data to bear to impact the way you manufacture, the way you configure, the way you set your manufacturing plan. So huge potential. But at the heart of it is the decisioning and the intelligence that links everything together.
Are you excited by the prospect of AI getting deeper into the manufacturing sector?
Very much so, actually, very much so, because I do think that manufacturing, I mean, sectors like financial services have utilized AI for 20 years to good benefit. I think manufacturing has been late for many reasons, investment, lack of good sensors, but now I think it's all coming together, actually, and I do believe it could be transformative in the manufacturing sector.
Finally, looking back, you started out in the 70s and 80s at the dawn of AI, quite a troubled dawn of AI. Did you ever believe that in your lifetime computing processing power would get to the stage where your ideas could be put into effect so well, so efficiently?
I have to say, I've always believed the algorithms were there, but I think the advances in computing, you know, having mobile devices, you know, having edge devices that you can link to your machine that can do the kind of algorithms, AI algorithms they can do now. No, I didn't actually, because that's the change. The change has been computing power and sensing, and that's why I think it could be transformative.
Akeel Attar, thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.